I was born in Vancouver, 1922.
Meet Harry Ho. He's 74. And here's Roy Ma, born in Edmonton, but
I've been living in British Columbia ever since I was a teenager.
He's 78. These men have always called Canada home, even at a time when Canada called them aliens.
At that time, British Columbia was a racist society. Socially, they were a pariah. There were a restaurant called White Lunch, with display on the window signs that all white help only. We don't hire any Orientals.
When I go to a theater, we have to sit in certain place.
Certain sections were roped off into a segregated section reserved exclusively for Chinese and native Indians.
In fact, racism against Chinese was so rampant, Harry remembers the time while he was at Strathcona School when his very name was denied him.
My name is Harry. It's a given name by my teacher. But actually, my birth certificate name is Ho Fat Chung, the Chinese name.
So why did they call you Harry?
Well, it's given by the teacher. I don't know. I don't know why. Just my brother is called Charlie, my other brother is called Willie, and my sister is called Lily. It's given by the teacher.
Every turn, the Chinese were faced with discrimination. It was an injustice. We sought to right the wrong.
And the biggest wrong for Roy Ma and Harry Ho? They were Canadian, born and bred, but didn't have the right to vote.
I live in Canada. I'm considered Canadian, but I don't get the right to vote, see?
He didn't have the right to vote because of special policies designed to make it very difficult for more Chinese to come to Canada. They were imported as cheap labor to build a railroad, but after they served their purpose, public sentiment turned anti-Chinese. So the government imposed a $50 head tax on every new Chinese immigrant. $50, a fortune at the time. It began in 1885. The end came with World War II. Everyone was to be conscripted, even the Chinese. So the government was faced with a quandary. How can you fight for a country and not be allowed to vote? The unfairness of the idea so rankled some Chinese, there was talk of resisting conscription.
There was quite a debate in the community at the time, and we had a big community meeting at the Chinese United Church on Gore and Pender.
One faction of the Chinese community didn't want to go to war without getting the right to vote first. And the other faction?
I championed the faction said that, we should serve now. If we do so, when we come back from the war, we would have solid credentials to demand for our rights. And a lot of people agree.
About 400 Chinese Canadians served in the war. Roy was plucked from his job as a labor organizer and Harry from his at the shingle mill. Both draftees volunteered for some of the most dangerous work in the jungles of Burma and Malaysia.
I crouched behind the enemy line.
At that time, they didn't have the radar, so they can flew us in and, just drop us behind the enemy lines.
You drop behind the enemy line. You can go in, but you can't come out.
For this type of work, these Chinese Canadians were the perfect soldiers. They knew the language, and they could blend in with the locals.
So they thought that, being of the same ethnic background, we would be advantageous to liaise with the local population to organize and carry out guerrilla operations.
While in civilian life, being Chinese was a liability, in wartime it was their biggest asset. As long as they were in uniform, Chinese soldiers were even allowed to vote. And when they returned home, their ethnicity once again became a liability. Their status gone, they could no longer vote.
They said, look, our boys were willing to sacrifice their lives. They were making great contribution to defend democracy, to defend the country. So it's about time, the government should change its attitude and, grant us civil rights.
So in 1947, that's exactly what happened.
I'm proud of it. So I'm a Canadian now.
It's a very significant event because it sort of changed the face of our community altogether, elevated our status, for one thing.
From, you say elevated it from
Our
what?
status from second-class citizenship status to equality.
In 1947, it just wasn't Chinese Canadians that got the right to vote. It was all Canadians of Asian descent, Koreans, Japanese, and Indians. And for that, we have the Roy Ma's and the Harry Ho's of this country to thank. For Broadcast One, I'm Suda